So today is September 12th, and I believe fall is approaching. Next week is supposed to start chilling off quite a bit and kind of in a nectar dearth. So I'm going to take off that hive, the little hive, and this hive super off because they're not filling it up, and there's not going to be another nectar flow. So there's no need to leave it on. And while I have them down, I'm going to go ahead and treat for mites. What I use is Apivar or Apivar, depending on how you say it. But I'll show you a little bit about that. So this is what the package looks like. Apivar. I ordered it from Man Lake. There's 10 strips in here. I think it comes out to about $35. It's like a vacuum sealed package. There's strips that you put in between the frames, and it works by transmission, so it gets on the bees and then they pass it on to their sisters and it gets around the hive. And it's a 6-week treatment, so you leave it in the hive for 6 weeks, and you're supposed to do this in the spring and in the fall. From what I've read and what I've heard, it's a pretty aggressive treatment. I'm not a real big fan of it per se, but I'm going to use it this time. I use it in the spring. I'm just going to do it in the fall too. Next year I think I'm going to use some formic acid, because you can still count that as organic. So your hives can be organic and organic apiary, chemically free with formic acid, because if I remember right from biochemistry, formic acid is what's in bee stings anyways, so it's already naturally in the hive. And they have it some other things in the hive too. But one downside with it that I found in the spring is it's kind of difficult to judge when a treat, because you have to leave it on for 6 weeks, and then you have to take it out and leave the hive free for 2 weeks before you can even put your super on. So you have 8 weeks. That's an 8-week window that you can't have any honey supers on. You're planning to harvest from at least. So 8 weeks is kind of hard to judge when the honey flow is going to start 8 weeks out, because like most beekeepers know, each season can be a little bit different. You might have a really early honey flow, you might have a late honey flow, and if you can't put on your honey supers, you're going to be honey bound and you're kind of out of luck. So that's why I kind of didn't like it. I mean, it might be a better fall treatment than it is a spring, but I'm going to go ahead and use it in the fall this year. I used it last spring. Next spring I think I'm going to use formic acid. I do think it is a good idea to treat for mites, because they're pretty much the leading killer of honeybee hives besides like pesticides and stuff, and they're pretty nasty, especially if you're a new beekeeper. When I started out, I didn't treat, and I got lucky that I didn't lose any hives because I didn't treat. But you know, I might do every other year. Like, I've still got to figure that out. Alright, so let's go get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this hive. We'll take the super off and work our way through. I just pretty much smoke these bees really heavy to try to get all of them out of this super. It's empty, so it's not like they're going to stay very much, but I'm going to crack it off and just set it on my bee bench, and the bees that are in it, they'll go back into the hive later. I'm not going to shake them out or anything. Like I said, there wasn't that many bees in there to begin with. And then I'll just put the normal lid back on top. But here we go. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just leave that there for the night, and these bees will come back. I'm going to take off this next box. Okay, this is what the strips look like. And basically what you do is you just slip them down in between the frames. The ratio is 1 strip per 5 frames of brood. And so what I'm going to do is you stick a toothpick in the little hole like that. I go ahead and slip one on this side. Just slip it down. And then they recommend that you space it two frames apart. So 1, 2, I'll go ahead and put one about here. And that covers the edges of the brood nest and should work in the center. So I have it 3 frames apart, but not a big deal. And yes, I'll leave that on there for 6 weeks, and then once the 6 weeks are up, I'll come and take it off. But it's kind of an easy treatment. You just leave it in there. They do propolize the toothpick and stuff together, but you just kind of pry that out a little bit later. They recommend not to touch it with your bare hands. I did anyways. I just got to make sure to wash it off really good. But they treat it as a poison, and that's what it is really. It's kind of like a poison that isn't strong enough to hurt the bees, but it is strong enough to hurt the mites. And I know my hives don't have a severe mite problem, but I'm still going to treat this year just to be safe. Let's go over to the next hive. This is a clump of bird comb I just removed from the frame so I can put the lid back on without crushing it. It's a pretty good amount of wax. Okay, we're down in the bottom of the next hive. I'm going to go ahead and put the Apivar down. I was being careless when I was pulling out some of the frames, and one got me right in the finger. You always gotta be careful. Just kind of slide it in there and push any bees out of the way. Yeah, they'll get you if you're careless. I can guarantee you that. That's the first time I got stung all year. Right at the close of the season. So you just gotta push that down in there. Here we go. That hive right there, I'm not gonna treat yet because it's still got honey supers on there. Probably gonna get that out next week or something. I just want to reinstate that the most important part for me about beekeeping is experimentation. Like I said with Apivar, you know, it's pretty strong treatment. I might treat next year, I might not. I'm going to probably use formic acid next year, and then the year after that I might not treat. It all depends, and it kind of changes season to season as well. You know, next year I think I'll actually do some mite counts and see where they're at before I decide to treat or not. It's probably, the reason you want to treat in the fall is because the bee numbers start to decline, but the mite numbers do not until later, early winter. So what your problem is your ratio of bees to mites becomes less. So that's when things get dangerous and they pass diseases a lot easier, and you have danger of losing your hive in late fall, and that's never good, or even midwinter. And really want to prevent that. Yeah, but experimentation is the best thing because, you know, from one year to the next you change what you do, you write down the results, you log it, and you see what you can do different. You know, you learn from it. But yeah, so treating is always fun. Stung in the hand, probably swell up a little bit or something. Yeah, so thanks for watching the BeeMan97 channel. Any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.